These deer, I think are fallow deer. I'm not an expert on them, though I've got a lot of footage of deer. They are wild beasts. They don't belong to anybody, and they go where they please or where they can get into. And I think it's the same herd that I saw over in Bedwyn Common, because we're only about a mile from Bedwyn Common here, and they are beautiful beasts, wild, free and happy. There's I think they're all quite young. I wonder where the old ones went, whether they were hunted or died in accidents or whatever, old age disease, whatever. But there's a couple with little horns, little antlers, and this is 10 minutes into my walk and I've stumbled into a herd of wild and noble beasts. I think they've seen me now. There's quite a few of them are facing me, but they're not alarmed because I'm about 120-30 yards away from open ground between us and around themselves. So they position themselves for defence, in the sense that they can run for it in all sorts of different directions. But they are beautiful, beautiful things. When trying to photograph them, you'll need a zoom lens, but try and creep up with them quietly and try and use any trees to sort of partially conceal yourself. Also, animals, so you might have wondered how I managed to get really close-up shots of some animals, and that's because I've got the camera over my face. I think animals, when they're looking for danger, are looking for eyes looking at them, and if you've got the camera over your face, I think they just can't really make you out as a being, you know. I don't know what this is. I suspect it might be a sweet chestnut, but it's one of the last of the leaves to come out. Now we're heading towards summer. There are so many ancient oaks, hundreds of years old here. It's another occasion where we can loathe the ruling classes and be grateful for preserving such a, you know, this is proper primeval stuff. Now, oak was grown to make warships, but it's also an indigenous species, and very symbolic as well, if you're of that inclination. But I sort of get the impression it's not a regimented, farmed oak. They're not equally spaced, they're higgledy-piggledy. I think this is natural forest. I've just come up through Durley to get here, along Prince of Wales Gate into the forest of Savernake, and it's not marked as a public way, but it is on a map. It's a permissive path. It is on the map of, you can get it in White Horse bookshop in Marlborough. There's a little map of Savernake you can get, which is quite useful. I met a guy up here, thank you very much to him for giving me his copy, and it's been really useful for those places to get to that you have permission to go to but aren't marked on the OS map. So I come up from Durley. I was looking at the name and trying to work, just using my best etymological skills to try and work out what it might mean. And this was I did this exercise a couple of weeks ago because I was walking. I was also at Durley at that point. I didn't know about this path, and I guessed it was Deor, which means the wild animals, rough pasture or wood. But using knowledge to sort of anticipate what place names mean is still guesswork. I was partially right. I was partially right in the sense that there is another Durley in Britain, I think Dorset somewhere, and it does mean Deor Lech. And Deor is wild animal, but it becomes deer later on. It becomes our deer. And not just all wild animals are deer. But here it isn't. This is one of the perils of using quite informed knowledge to guess what names mean. So I looked it up, and it is the oldest form, seems to be based on Deor Lech, which means secret or hidden valley, secret or hidden lea. That is a wood or a rough pasture. So close but no cigar. But it's what it does indicate to me is that I'm quite pleased with myself, because it's not bad. But I'm starting to think in these terms all the time whenever I go anywhere, is trying to work out what it might mean and then going and checking. But anyway, so I thought I'd go off and find a quote that includes the word "duerne" in it, and recite it for you. Þyrs shall on fen Ywynien, arna in on lande. The ogre lives in the fen, alone in the land. But it goes on. Ides shall duerne a crafte, femne here freon yesekian. And what that means is, and this is where duerne comes in. The lady does secret craft, and she seeks friends. It goes on. Yf hael nella on folke yetheon, that he man beagum yabitcha. And what that means is that if she doesn't flourish amongst the folk, then the man must buy rings. Now, I haven't changed one word of that. That comes from, I think, the 10th century. And it's all authentic Anglo-Saxon poetry. And it's not just wisdom that you should learn. What it is certain and eternal truths. Shall in the gnomes, which is what they're called, means absolutely eternally this is true. So but am I cheating? Only you can judge, because this is only 3 lines from the poetry, and I made a choice to cut it in that way. One, because you had the word þyrs, which means ogre or giant, and us antiquarians are always looking for something a bit mystical, pagan, or and you know, antique. And 2, he used the word tawny, secret, and see reason number 1. And 3, there is no indication that those 2 thoughts, the thought about ogres and the thought about how women are happy or not in a community, aren't necessarily linked. They are linked in space. It is the next line and the line after that. I haven't edited it, but I have cut it like that. So it's up to you whether you think I'm cheating or not. Leave a comment if you think I am or not. I think it is, with my art school background, that they're making a comparison, a juxtaposition between the ogre, the unsociable man wandering the wilderness, and the man in a community supporting. I think they're trying to say to us something about sociability, right action and so on. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think. This is Bitam Pond. Now this isn't on the OS map, and it wasn't on the OS map 100 years ago. So I only knew about it because OGS Crawford, one of the communists I'm going to be talking about later on, pointed it out. It was not on a map. It was not on any map. It wasn't even on the estate maps. But it was by word of mouth. It was understood that was Bitam Pond. What he was looking for was a place called Bydan Hammes, and this is from the Anglo-Saxon Charter of Great Bedwyn, Birch 1213, I think. There was no record of it in any public record whatsoever. It was only word of mouth that kept it alive as Bitham, and this area is Bitham. It also shows a place called Harm is not in a wood, so this would have been ploughland or grazing, whatever, in Anglo-Saxon period. But it is one of those nice concurrences that only just held on into the 20th century as a place name. Bydan, the landscape people think it means bowl. The bid part, ham, means enclosed pasture or enclosed meadow or home. Most of the time enclosed meadow, but it could also mean, I did look it up, we get the word abide with me. It means wait. That was also in Old English as bood. So I just thought it's so nice when you get these survivals from 1,000 years ago.